you'll know that you're just being a hypocrite and saying, I know that I need to research this stuff, but I won't. I'm just going to say USA, no matter what, I'm going to listen to Obama.
As the NSA spies on you, and
By the
everything's
way,
fine. No one gets in trouble. They kill the troops when they come home at the VA. No one gets in trouble.
Support no matter what for the government. By the way, Obama is a criminal scum, and he's a dictator. And why would you want to fight for him? If you're in the military, you should at least be questioning him. At least, so he's our commander-in-chief, so at least question him. Okay, don't just blindly follow because you think ISIS is bad because they did some videos cutting off people's heads. Listen, understand your history and the policy of the United States first, and then, and I'm sorry, we have some of the best people that go into the military, and they are going to come back and not be taken care of because these wars are not defensive. There's no national security risk. Now there is, though, because we've been there for 40 years invading countries. People are pissed off at us. But truly defensive wars are popular. You don't even need a draft. If someone invaded my country, I would be defending my community with my guns if a foreign enemy came into my country. Wouldn't you agree, Sam? Wouldn't you, too? Defend your own...
you would have to at that point.
I mean, yeah. Why do you think it's so hard to win?
Self-defense is moral. Attacking people is
for
immoral.
No reason.
For no reason, yeah.
To bring freedom and democracy.
Yes, to spread your ideology.
Sorry to go on that rant, but I had to get it out, and we'll continue to cover this because read your books, folks. Read Congressional Record. We're going to break. WeaponizedNews.com. We'll see you on the other side.
And now back to Weaponized News. And now it's the fourth quarter. And this is what we call crunch time. And now back to the show.
Thank you for joining us. This is Weaponized News. Visit weaponizednews.com. We appreciate the station and our advertisers and people who support us and people who don't support us but listen and try to find fault in our arguments. That's fine too. We like liberty. We love freedom. We want a free market, freedom of speech. We love guns here. We're pro-Constitution. We are against foreign illegal wars that we have to pay for. It's foreign welfare for the elites. It's welfare for foreign governments, special interests, and the elite. Truly defensive wars are popular and usually end pretty quickly if they're moral. But we've been in the Middle East meddling for so many years that, of course, these people that live there, they're never going to give up. Get that through your head. We need to bring all the troops home now. Now, out of all the countries we occupy, bring them home. And, folks, one more thing, because we have to go over the hypocrisy. It's such a huge issue, especially with the news we're going to go over in a little bit about the use of military force. If the border is not closed, you cannot be occupying a bunch of nations and getting mad when people are infiltrating your country, when your border, our own national security, actual national security issues are not being addressed. The border's wide open. Why aren't Marines on the border? Why aren't they on the border? I don't want one more person sent to another country to die for special interests until we lock down the border. And I never want them to go anyway, but I'm saying we need to lock down the border. This ISIS situation, it doesn't matter. The border is wide open. Wake up. Stop being... Don't just say USA, wait for football season, everything will be okay. Get with it. Start reading.
We're in serious trouble in this state, in this country, Stuart. If you work for the government, listen up. They are going to take your pension fund, okay? This was just a ruling last week. The California Public Employees Retirement System, a Stockton bankruptcy judge ruled that the decision could dramatically change the way pensions are handled in future bankruptcy proceedings. This is an article out of Reason. I suggest you go read it, but it goes on to say that when California cities go bankrupt, pensions can be cut. It didn't happen in this case, but it set the precedent for future pensions to be cut. Okay? And so that's going to happen because we are going to continually to go municipally bankrupt because of this welfare state. It's part of the Cloward and Piven plan for collapse that we continue to cover on this show. So know that if you work for the government and you're sitting on a pension fund and you're above the law, this, that, and the other, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Your pension's not going to be there, okay? It's already been ruled on by a Stockton bankruptcy court.
The $200 trillion of unfunded liabilities we have, right? I think as a nation. truly, right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
It's like $200 trillion that are owed, but we can't pay it to us, to
So
the
to
citizens.
just go along with this tyranny
Yeah.
and keep rubber stamping it, you're a moron because your pension will not be there.
The bureaucracy, when things start to collapse, the bureaucracy, all these people that think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, these bureaucrats.
The political class that's above the rest of us poor slaves.
Just the bureaucratic government class and the welfare class. These things are going to be eliminated. They're going to be liquidated because when the dollar goes bad, when people stop accepting our debt, because what they're doing is we're paying for stuff that we can't afford with money that's printed by the Federal Reserve. Once they stop taking it, man, we're going to have some issues.
They have
because
the pedal to the metal for the welfare state in California.
There's going to be too much money in the supply, and prices are going to skyrocket. And also we won't be able to. Our standard of living will go down because we won't get all those cheap goods that we want. But that's a little bit more complicated, and I'm still studying this stuff. You have to study every day, wouldn't you say, Sam? How long have you been studying this stuff?
You do have to study it a lot to understand. It's very complex, but understand this: government workers, they're coming after your pensions next.
Yeah.
If you continue to prop up this communist system, I mean,
your job is unwanted, unneeded in a perfect competition system where you actually. Your job is worthless, basically, bureaucrats. So it's not safe, no matter what. It might be safe for another 5 years, and then when everything collapses, you didn't think for yourself, so you have an arrogant attitude, and you're ignorant. So you will be eliminated from the workforce. Your job will be liquidated when people go to survival, because people don't want to lose this standard of living. Would you say, Sam? People are going to want to remain living high on the hog, but if they want to do that, they're going to have to work their butts off. When the collapse happens, we're going to have to restructure.
Position yourself now. That's why we're warning you. They've already ruled they will take your public pension funds, and they're coming after the private ones next.
And Obama talked about going into private education funds. Of course, they're going to try to dip into any fund they can.
Yep.
And look, your money's not safe in the banks no matter what. I keep all my stuff. Any assets I have are, they're in a place where I can physically touch them. No bank is going to keep a bunch of my money.
Well, we're probably going to be looking at negative interest rates. You're going to have to pay the bank to hold your deposit that they use for investments.
Did you hear that, folks?
Orwellian, out of this world. Stuart, let's move through the news. FCC now is looking to regulate the internet, and so this is a pretty good article actually out of the Washington Times. It goes on to say that, last couple of weeks, the FCC commissioner and Federal Election Commission declared their intention to regulate the internet. Fascists always explain their actions as efforts to either make something more efficient, quote, fair, or supposedly protect their target. And so the internet's doing just fine right now. The government's pissed off because it's a free flow of information that they can't monopolize and control. And people are waking up, and they specifically name in all their stuff the Drudge Report. So it's like just that everyone go to the Drudge Report and get as much information now as you can, because he's one of their number one targets.
And it's just a news aggregate. This is just the mindlessness. He posts links to other.
He doesn't write any editorial bashing government.
Yeah, he doesn't. He just posts links.
Yeah.
And posting a link is now criminal if you can bring down
He's
presidents.
the biggest threat.
Yeah, he's the biggest threat because the free flow of information and alternative news. He brought down the president of the United States, Bill Clinton, okay, with the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And this is just widely known in the media. And media... This is why we started weaponizednews.com, because you know what? We need to have everyone should have an equal voice. That is an equal platform, okay? If you want to work hard, you can make it. That's what the internet is. The internet is ultimate freedom. If you don't want to have a website and you don't want to work hard, you don't have a website, okay? But if you do want to work hard, and then yes, you can be successful. But the government wants to regulate now the free marketplace on the internet and under the guise of fairness, right? Just like the fairness doctrine, basically tried to held up. This radio broadcast couldn't happen 30 years ago because of the fairness doctrine, or just I don't know if that was the specific policy.
That
was it. So basically, free speech didn't exist, I guess.
Not on talk radio. They're trying to shut it off on the internet.
On the internet, yeah.
So sign your petitions out there, fight against it.
And net neutrality that the government's proposing is not net neutrality.
No. It's everything they do is a lie, Orwellian, doublespeak. wake up and at least sign a petition about it. Start yelling about it. This is a bunch of baloney.
It's like Freedom of Information Act, but they have to give you the information, and if they don't, then what does it do? It's all depends on the actions of the government.
Covering up their crimes. Stuart, now moving on to a crime against the Second Amendment. ATF bans popular rifle ammunition. They say it's armor piercing, and so they went ahead and banned 5.56 millimeter rounds with green tips, saying they're armor piercing. The ATF did it just by fiat.
That is the problem with all these bureaucracies, is that the Congress, it's like the Congress giving authority to the president to use military action. The government, the
government has nuclear weapons that can destroy the world a million times over, but they want to ban somebody from having a 5.56 millimeter round.
Doesn't make sense. They're trying to train us to be slaves. The problem is you give the power to the president, or you give the power to a bureaucratic department of the federal government. It now becomes they are their own lawmakers. So basically, Congress, they write in their own laws, even though Congress is supposed to pass laws. They pass laws saying that this department can make policies, can do whatever they want under the law. They always say under the law, but really, they're not going to. The Congress is not going to amend ATF's policy. They're not going to amend it.
They're not
they
disband.
could. But
they could disband the whole agency.
They could. They could get rid of the public.
Cut the funding.
Department of Education. They could just
cut
the
funding to all this bloated bureaucracy of baloney.
And we are in a $200 billion. We're running a $200 billion a month deficit, according to the Treasury reports, the monthly Treasury reports, which you can actually go view. That's why they want the control of the internet, because they don't want people to even access the government websites unless they think you won't be a threat to them. So you can download, like Sam and
public information that your taxpayer money pays for.
Yeah.
You
remember, you pay for all this bureaucracy. You pay to be slaves. Pay for your own enslavement.
Stuart, let's get into this whole. We are now going to be the Air Force for, quote, moderate rebels who are really Al-Qaeda, ISIS. To go in and overthrow Syria is essentially what it boils down to once you cut past all the propaganda and lies.
What is this out of? What?
That's out of Zero Hedge. Obama
Zero Hedge.
To allow moderate Syrian rebels to call B-1B bombers for air support.
Syria, I thought a couple years ago, it's the doublethink, 1984. Syria was our enemy. Then they became our ally for a little bit because of the ISIS situation. Now we're saying they're our enemy again? Is that what we're hearing?
Well, they're
now,
not coming right out and saying that, but that is what they're going to do.
That's what they're going to do.
That's an excuse to go overthrow Syria.
Absolutely. And that whole region.
We have to arm, fund, and train the Syrian rebels, moderate Syrian rebels who are really Al-Qaeda, ISIS, because we just have to stop ISIS. And so it's this Orwellian double. I mean, it makes your head spin thinking about it, but that's what's going on. We have to train, fund, and command them to stop them.
We funded the rebels in Syria a few years ago. Literally, that came out, and congressmen said,
record.
It's on record. We funded mostly Al-Qaeda members to overthrow a government we didn't like. This is the problem of funding both sides and getting involved in foreign conflicts we have no issue in. Syria.
Now we're going to call airstrikes. For them.
And really, it shows you if we don't like a government, we fund. Well,